Welcome to the 12th Annual City of Alpharetta State of the City Address. I want to thank ABA, the Alpharetta Business Association sponsors, all the volunteers for making this possible. As the mayor of Alpharetta, this is probably my favorite event of the year because as I was speaking with some of my fellow mayors earlier, is when you're mayor of a city, you get inundated with a tremendous amount of great stuff. You find out a lot of things that are going on in your community, more so than you could typically convey in a day. And so this is the one chance I get to look at all your smiling faces and actually talk to you about it, because I'm not really a very good speech giver. I just like to have a conversation about all the stuff I've seen going on. And so as I sit here, as I stand here today, let me know if I'm blowing your ears out because I tend to be a little bit loud, is as I look back on my time in Alpharetta, and especially the last 12 years. I was first elected in 2012 as a city council member, and I loved this city back then. I came here with my wife, my family, and we put down roots because we thought it was a very special place. And as I look at the city we have created over the last 10 years, it's awe-inspiring. It's humbling. And we truly are blessed. If you're in this room today, you're among the most blessed people on the face of the earth. And sometimes because we live here, whether it's in Alpharetta or Milton, some of the other cities around here, you know I had to throw a jab somewhere. Honestly, I'll pause to say, I am very fortunate to have fellow leaders in North Fulton that are so kind, so cooperative, and are so determined to help all of our communities get better. And so when I jab at them, it's sibling rivalry, just an elbow in the ribs. But we are blessed in all of North Fulton, but especially Alpharetta. And as I look back over those 10 years, it's easy for us sometimes. I don't know how many of you are relatively new, been here only 5 years, within the last 5 years. See, there's a lot of people who have moved here recently. And those of us that have been here for, say, 15, 20, 30 years or more, we've watched Alpharetta evolve. But even though we've seen it, sometimes we forget about it. We take it for granted what we have in this community. And so today I want us all to sit and think how blessed we are and appreciate what we have, because it wasn't always this way, and there's absolutely no guarantees that it'll continue to be the way we have it now. Most communities around the country and the world have a peak. I grew up in Macon, Georgia, and the peak was way back in the 1920s probably. And we've seen other cities around Georgia that do the same. So what we have here is special, but it didn't always exist. And so I'm going to tell you a little bit about how we got there, just to remind those who were here, in case we've overlooked it or haven't appreciated it, and then to let newer residents understand what we have here is special, but it wasn't always like this. And if we're not careful and don't continue to work together in the future, it can be lost. And that would be a tragedy. So first of all, I'll just go back to 2012. So there was no Avalon. There was no city center downtown. As a matter of fact, not many people went downtown at all because there really wasn't much reason to. There were only a few restaurants downtown. The only ones open in the evenings were Hardee's, Taco Bell, and Smoke Shack. And you laugh, but we know it's true. And it was very intentional what has been created in this city over the last decade. And I credit it to foundations. Even 20, 30 years ago, Alpharetta was a safe community. It's always been a safe community. It's always had great schools that attracted people from all over the world, and it's always had a great business climate, because that is what has brought hundreds of technology companies into our city over the last few decades. And so those were the building blocks of what brought most of us here. And then in 2012, we had a really educated, affluent constituency, but we were missing a lot of things that we really wanted in our city. One of them was just a place to go out and gather, to have events, to have fun, to come together as a community. We really didn't have those types of spaces. And so we started looking at how we could do that. We also knew, if you were here back in the day, maybe we got to go back to this. If you were here in the day, you understand that if you wanted to go out for dinner or a night on the town with friends, you had to go somewhere else, because we had a couple of nice restaurants here in Alpharetta, but just a couple, and they were usually busy. So typically, my wife and I would have to go down to Roswell or Buckhead or even to Midtown or somewhere else out of town, just to enjoy ourselves and have the type of special occasion meals we'd like to have. And so 10 years ago, the people of Alpharetta decided that we wanted to build the city that we wanted to become. They aspired to be even better than just a great place to raise a family and do business. And so when that passed, the transformation began, and it was very intentional. At the same time, coming out of the recession, Avalon, for those of you that don't remember, it was a mud pit. It was a failed project that had gone into bankruptcy with a half-built parking deck at the doorstep of Alpharetta because of the 2008 recession. And North American Properties saw the potential of Alpharetta and the potential of that site and came forward and created an amazing mixed-use development. And so over the last 10 years, some of the things we've learned is that if you have a great basis, a safe community, good place to live, good place to work, and if you create an environment that encourages investment, that people will want to be here, businesses will want to be here. And we've evolved. But it wasn't by chance. It was intentional. And we did that in a lot of different ways. But the first part was City Center. We built a new city hall. We cleared out an old gas station and a shopping center that really was an eyesore, quite frankly. And we acquired 21 acres. We built a new city hall, a new library. We built park spaces, 5 acres at Brook Street Park, the town green. We built 2 parking decks. We continued to invest in the community around here, create spaces for people to gather, spaces where restaurants would flourish. And we also invested in some of the other things that we didn't have. We had a great park system. Wills Park's fantastic. We had North Park. We had Webbridge Park. But what we didn't have were smaller parks that families could walk to, that a mom could push a stroller to their kids to. And so we invested in park spaces all over the city. We've got park spaces either built or being built on Old Rucker Road, Waters Road, Kimball Bridge Road, Mayfield Road. And we really were intentional about taking Alpharetta where our residents wanted it to be, where they aspired to live. And it's really been fun to watch. But we can't take that for granted. It happened because we had a vision. The people of Alpharetta understood we have it really good here in 2012, but we want more. We can aspire to more. And so we continued to do that. It was that vision that led the leadership of this community. And when I talk about leadership, I'm talking about elected officials, of course, but I'm talking about private sector leaders like the ones in this room. That's what makes things happen. Government can do certain things. They can facilitate. but it's creating the environment for people like you to succeed that makes us flourish. And that was all intentional. And today when I look around, we're so blessed to be harvesting the fruits of that vision, that leadership, the hard work of our staff, the people that make this stuff happen, the road projects, the park projects that facilitate developments like Avalon. They're sitting at this table. They're sitting in this room. But it's that consistent vision, those partnerships, that leadership, and the support of our community. Because none of it happens if we don't have a community that understands what we're trying to accomplish and supports us getting there. Because it's hard. To build road projects, it's disruptive and expensive, and people have to adjust to the construction that's going on Rucker Road. But look at Rucker Road now. Look at the transportation transformation we have made in the last few years for Rucker Road and for Kimball Bridge Road. So that's kind of where we are today. We're enjoying the fruits of what we've worked very hard for and spent a tremendous amount of money, taxpayer money. Over $100 million have been spent on downtown and road projects and parks. That's transformational, and that's why we enjoy what we enjoy today. And the good news is that we're not stopping. You know, in 2022, our staff and our community has done a tremendous job of continuing to fulfill that vision. As you can see by the projects that have come up and the projects still underway. So the natural question is, if, man, we got it this good now, what else can we do? Well, I'm glad you asked. Because we really haven't slowed down. The most amazing thing to me as mayor of this city is in the last few years, we have gone through a pandemic and a recession right now, and we haven't slowed down one bit. We just keep pulling the line. We just keep, to take a phrase from one of my favorite coaches, we chopping wood. We just do. We see the headwinds, we ignore them. We don't stop. We don't get intimidated. We see where we can get there, and we just do it. That's powerful. Not many communities can say that. So take some credit for doing that. But now, as we sit here in early 2023, we got a lot ahead of us. And if you think we've transformed a lot in the past 10 years, just wait. If we're still around in 10 years, we're going to say, wow, that's pretty incredible. And there's so much stuff here, I'm actually going to have to refer to my notes a little bit more, but just to make sure I don't forget some of them, because we're not really changing what we've done over the last 10 years. We're taking the experiences we've learned, and we're applying them to the opportunities of the future. The world is changing rapidly, and if we don't evolve, we're going to die. As a community, we cannot thrive and get better unless we're constantly looking on the horizon at what's ahead. So, first of all, we have to protect and defend the foundation of what makes Alpharetta special. And those are those things we had 30 years ago. A safe community with good schools and a great business climate that understands the private sector drives our economy. As long as we never forget that, then we'll be okay. Then what we do is build upon that foundation. And that foundation is that we'll continue to expand our trails and our park systems. Because we've got a great community here. And even back 10 years ago, we had the Greenway. But 10 years ago, the Greenway was basically just a wonderful linear park along a creek because it was a park space. It didn't really connect people to places and things. But a few years ago, with Mayor Belle-Isle's vision, we created the Alpha Loop. Now, Kathy Cook, our community director, had to do everything about that, and she made it happen, she and her staff. But now, one of the best features we have is our trail and park system, because we are connecting where people are with where they want to be, where they need to go, and the parks they can enjoy. We'll continue to build and expand on our park system. This year we'll probably have at least 4, if not 5, parks either under construction or renovation. Wills Park's going to be transformed, the equestrian center. We've got parks on Mayfield Road, Waters Road, Kimball Bridge Road. They're all popping up because we invested and we've worked to make those things happen. So we won't have to get in our car to go to a park. And we may not have to go hop in a car to go to dinner, depending on where you live. If you live on the Loop, I live on the Loop now. I can walk downtown Alpharetta in 15 minutes and walk right back after having 3 or 4 drinks, if it's a special occasion. But it's not just the things we do in the public sector. As I mentioned, it's the private sector that really makes Alpharetta special. The projects like Avalon, the projects like the Maxwell, that completely transformed that old shopping center with a flea market in it. And we'll continue to help facilitate that. We'll continue to create an environment where our staff helps investors and developers succeed so they can help us succeed. So on the horizon, just to name a few. If you didn't know, there's a new project slated for the HPE site there at Windward Parkway in Georgia 400. Continuum is the mixed-use development. An amazing facility from an amazing development team that's done a lot of work in Nashville and around the country. And they came to Alpharetta because they realized that of all the places in the United States they could invest, Alpharetta has a unique potential to create great environments and to help them make a profitable investment. We're excited about that one. It's right across 400 from the MARTA Park and Ride. One of the other transformations coming on in that corridor, along with the flex lanes. The Gathering, which many of you probably, it's had like 5 different names, but it's basically across from Cookout. And that's a mixed-use development that's going to be world-class, but it's really more of a residential component because of the situation where it is. We've realized years ago that if you're going to have density, put it along the 400 corridor. And so this allows easy access to those trying to get to Alpharetta and get downtown Atlanta. We've got Lakeview, which has been under construction for several years, the office component. That's that last exit. If you're going down Haynes Bridge Road before you take a right on 400 South, it's being built right now. Those are already under construction, and there's more to come. There's road projects. You know, I'm sure many of you, like I, suffer as we go through North Main Street right now, but Georgia Department of Transportation is doing a transformational project all the way from the city limits of Roswell to the city limits of Milton on Highway 9. And it's painful right now. It will be for the next couple of years. But if you look at the designs of what that's going to be like, it's going to have wide, multi-purpose sidewalks. It's going to have tree-lined roads. It's going to be an inviting space. It's going to be much on the scale of what you see Rucker Road now. And that's pretty impressive. And that's not the only place. We're doing those projects on Webbridge Road. It'll begin this year. We've been planning and working on that for years now. And we're going to change that whole corridor so people don't have to get in their car to go to the next neighborhood, so they can ride a bike downtown. And GDOT's going to help us with a lot of these projects because They are doing the Georgia 400 project coming north. If you don't know, at the interchange project they're working right now at 400 and 285, once they finish that, they're going to continue building 4 new lanes up Georgia 400, 2 in each direction. There'll be toll lanes, so that the goal will be you should always be able to go at least 45 miles an hour on those on the toll lanes. That's going to be transformational for us, and that's going to be beginning in Alpharetta very soon, because the first phase of that project is GDOT is going to tear down Kimball Bridge Road very soon, because they've got to build a bigger road, and it's going to be a better road. If you've seen Encore Bridge, that was one of the first really transformational road projects in Alpharetta. It's an amazing, beautiful bridge, but it connects the east and west side. And Georgia Department of Transportation is going to tear down Kimball Bridge soon and create another bridge that'll have 4 lanes, but also walkable trails, bike paths, and things like that to help connect the east side of our community with the west side of our community. And that's great, because that's not the only one, that's just the first one. Department of Transportation is also going to replace Webb Bridge with the same types of amenities, connecting east and west, allowing mobility, whether it's cars or bikes or walking, jogging, whatever you want. They're also going to build another bridge, a new bridge that doesn't even exist. If you drew a straight line from Westside Parkway across 400 to Lifetime Fitness, there's a place called Tradewinds. There's a road over there, and they're building a new bridge there to provide that connectivity and to serve as a toll lane exit and entrance. And that's going to help us relieve some of the congestion on all of our east-west connectors by adding that extra connectivity, but also allowing multi-purpose trails along that corridor. So we're excited about that. There's so much. When you look at the pictures, and I assume y'all seen some of these back there. I'm not following my script, so James has probably been going crazy trying to keep up with me on this thing. He'll get me for that, if he hasn't already. And I'll also mention just a couple more. McGinnis Ferry Road, they're building a new exit, Department of Transportation is, and that's going to help the congestion on Windward Parkway and McGinnis Ferry Road for years to come. There are so many great things going on in this community, and we continue to look for more. You know, our council was very disappointed, as many people in the community were, that we weren't able to get a mixed-use project redevelopment at North Point this past year. Our council had passed 2 mixed-use developments on that property over the last 5 years, and unfortunately neither of those came to fruition. So we were excited to have an opportunity again. Unfortunately, we just weren't able to find common ground with the property owners, with the development team, on a project that we believed, the people of Alpharetta, the people of our city council believed would overwhelmingly fit with the vision of what we want to be in the future. It wasn't a bad project necessarily. Some people try to say it was all about apartments. It wasn't. We, as your elected officials, have to look decades in the future, because when we make a decision, it doesn't go away. And we have to look and see what is the impact of that proposal. Some of them are easy. Some of them are not. Some of them are really complex, and some of them are critical. And North Point was all of those. It changes our destiny as a community one way or the other. And so we didn't give up. Within days, our staff was already in contact with the property owners and the development team, and we've been inundated with really incredible ideas and proposals, and we're all, I believe, excited by the opportunities. Because what we find out is that there are so many people around this country that can't find a site that provides what that one provides. In a community like Alpharetta, with a transportation network, not only what exists, but what is coming through that corridor, and the environment it already has as an entertainment district with Top Golf and the amphitheater, all our hospitality, hotels, and these things. There are really unique things going on around us. You see what they did with the Battery over in Cobb County, and that's become a kind of model for sports facilities. And so we've hired a sports consultant to tell us, is there some way to do something exciting with sports over in that corridor? The potential is astronomical. And I'm probably past my time, so I'll start wrapping it up now. We've come a long way over the last 10 years. We're going to go a lot further over the next 10 years, as long as we keep doing what we're doing. And by that I mean we cannot allow divisiveness amongst ourselves and our communities. We've got healthy debate is good, but we see so many communities around the world, especially in our nation, that have lost their way. I had a conversation, it was heartbreaking, with someone the other day who moved here from California. I actually live in Milton, but they were sharing some of the concerns and their experiences where they used to live. Don't take what we have for granted. We can disagree. We will disagree. I lost a lot of 6-1 votes when I was a city council member, and I continue to lose more votes. That's okay. We have those healthy discussions, but we're all on the same team. So let's just focus on what kept us good for a long time, continue to work on the things we know we can do because we've got the staff, we've got the community, we've got the leadership. And let's just keep our head down. And I'll close with a comment from my good friend John Hypes. As we sit here today, I stand, you sit, in 2023, and we look to the future, I am completely convinced and enthusiastic that Alpharetta has not seen its best days. Our best days are ahead of us, so let's go kick some ass.